I've ummed and ahed for the last couple of weeks about whether I should talk about this or not. Will I alienate my followers? Will I get in trouble or commit a hate crime? Will my words be written in next year's Hope Not Hate report? But then I decided, what kind of a person would I be if I stayed silent and allowed my inspiration, a man who risked everything for England, to be vilified for the sake of a BBC television show? Of course, to the viewer it's just a television show, an hour's worth of violent and sexy entertainment on a Sunday evening before the rat race begins again the following morning. But to those behind the scenes it's an opportunity to influence. It's an opportunity to condition their young audience with the notion that Mosley equals bad. He's a man who, according to our media, should be confined to our history books with a big black cross over his name. Peaky Blinders protagonist, the ruthless Thomas Shelby, called Mosley the devil, while the show's writer, Stephen Knight, explained he's one of the most malignant characters to have ever featured in the series. His crime? He abhorred the talking shop at Westminster and wanted real decisive action for the people of England. He was passionately anti-war. He was respectful of all peoples and cultures and, while recognising our differences and therefore that separation is vital, he wanted us to live in peace and friendship side by side. And perhaps his most dangerous crime? He spoke out against the fat cats and the money power who undermined our workers' way of life, chance of success and freedom of expression by prioritising the size of their own bank balance over that which is honourable and good. Peak 2019 is young Englishmen siding with a gang of fictional violent gangsters over the greatest Englishman of the last century, because the only things they know about the greatest Englishman of the last century have been taught to them by our rootless foreign-controlled media, who hate the English. What better way to vilify a man than to fictionalise his life story and then pit him as the bad guy against a popular gang of violent and unrelentless murderers and thugs? Mosley's condemnation is just one act of a long line of ventures by the mainstream media to publicly shame nationalism and to warn off those who dare to follow that path themselves. Dare to speak out against our demographic replacement? Dare to mention the crimes of the central banks? Dare to highlight that the freedom of the anti-white media is a burden and not a gift? Then you will be placed on a platform where you will be publicly ostracised, lied about, ridiculed and shamed. We've seen it happen over and over again. As nationalists, we're called white supremacists for simply wanting a home for our own people. It doesn't matter that the notions of nationalism and supremacy contradict each other. One is a group of people who just want to be left alone, while one is a group of people who want to rule over other races, just as it doesn't matter that the rules are different for white people than they are for everybody else. It only matters that the media have decided that Europe will be multiracial, therefore our perfectly reasonable desires are condemned and cast aside. Mosley taught me that those who march with us will certainly face abuse, misunderstanding, bitter animosity and possibly the ferocity of struggle and of danger. In return, we can only offer to them the deep belief that they are fighting that a great land may live. He taught me that slurs and defamation are to be expected, but we should remain steadfast and honest, and we should counter any hate with honour and love. So, you see, I feel as though I owe it to Sir Mosley to at least put together a few words to counter this media smear. I would hope that those of us who recognise the sacrifice that he made, and the sacrifice that many of us will have to make in this present day, will have the decency to share his real words and his real views at a time when he has the attention of so much of England's youth.
No, well, the answer is, I think, very plain and simple. I was against certain Jews, not all Jews, because they were agitating for war. I was against the import of a completely different alien population which would bedevil our whole civilization and has done it. But that is the only form of prejudice of that kind which can ever be charged against me.